I would like to offer a warm welcome to our distinguished speakers, our guests, student observers. Welcome. My name is Khadija Konare. I am from Mali, West Africa, and I am among the 15 Asia Global Fellows who've come to Hong Kong from 15 different countries in September. We came to study and learn about global issues with Asian perspectives. The last 2 months' experience has been amazing, truly amazing. We've learned and we got to understand firsthand and on the ground the perspective from so many people in Hong Kong. Thank you for welcoming us, Hong Kong. You can be sure that we will go out to the world and tell the good stories of Hong Kong. Thank you. Now, I would like to draw your attention to the organization of the AGD this year. So we will be using a mixed mode. This morning, the sessions will be live streamed and in person. It's good to see all of you back in person. And the evening sessions will be online. Really, this format is to enable the conference to reach out to a wider global audience. Also, we would like to take this opportunity to thank HSBC for supporting again this year the AGD Dialogue as the sole diamond sponsor. We will have 2 keynote speeches, one from Professor Spence Michael, Nobel laureate in economic sciences, and advisory board chairman of the Asia Global Institute. And Mr. Xiang, Andrew Xiang, distinguished fellow of Asia Global Institute. So before we start the first session, the first welcome words, I would like to remind everyone to please put your mobile phones and your electronic devices on silent mode. Without any further ado, I would like to welcome Professor Xiang, President and Vice-Chancellor of the University of Hong Kong, to say a few words of welcoming. Professor Zhang.
Dr. Fung, Professor Spence, fellows, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to Hong Kong and Hong Kong U. When Dr. Fung asked me to speak here today, I looked through the archives of the Asian Global Dialogue. This year is exactly 10 years since its first groundbreaking event. In 2012, 10 years ago, the focus was the international economy, including supply chains, sustainable development, and the need for new financial structure, issues that are familiar to us, especially today. But compared with a decade ago, the world is very different now. Populism and nationalism are on the rise. Visionary leadership has been replaced by inward thinking, and values we once took for granted, like trust and openness, have given way to fear and suspicion. Even as we speak, the climate change conference in Egypt is marked by the deep division that has become a characteristic of current politics. This is why the AsiaGlobal Dialogue is critical to the future we want. This year, 15 fellows from 15 countries have been handpicked to work together for the benefit of the planet here. They are among the world's best intellectuals, policymakers, and leaders in the social enterprise. This month's Financial Summit and Rugby Sevens were watershed moments in Hong Kong's comeback story. But let's not forget that arrival of the AsiaGlobal Fellows predates both of these events. By being here and by choosing to be here, they proved that Hong Kong is open and that is critical, and it is a critical player in the international landscape, and is still a gateway between China and the rest of the world. Even though the AGI fellows will return to their home country soon, their tradition of lifelong friendship and collaborations is an example to our students and alumni. Thank you, fellows, for your trust in the University of Hong Kong, for making us your home for these 10 important weeks. Thank you. As all we know, Hong Kong is a connector, and AGI Global Fellows are the ambassador in that ecology. I also acknowledge the international speakers who travels to Hong Kong for this AGD, and in particular to Professor Michael Spence, who brings a wealth of experience and knowledge to his role as the advisory board chair of this AsiaGlobal Institute. Michael, your important work on growth in developing countries allows us to anticipate the future before it happens, and to understand how we can close the gap that divides rich and poor. Lastly, may I congratulate Professor Wei Tan, the recently appointed director of the AsiaGlobal Institute, and to Professor Zhiwu Chen, the outgoing director, for his hard work and success in completing his term. Also, my deepest thanks to Dr. Fung for your continuing effort to keep the dream alive for so many young people around the world. Victor, your work is incredible, and we are incredibly proud to be part of that at Hong Kong U. Openness, action, and kindness are the DNA of Hong Kong. As we welcome the world once again, everyone in this room is a huge part of that forward movement. Dialogue is a conversation to resolve issues. And so, I wish you all good luck for your important work today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Zhang. Now, I would like to ask Dr. Victor K. Fung Chairman of AsiaGlobal Institute, for his welcome remarks. Thank you.
Vice-Chancellor Zhang, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to all of you. It is really a gratifying experience to see this return to Lok Kiew Hall, and really to be holding at least a part of our Asia Global Dialogue this year in person for the first time in 3 years. What an experience. Let's give a hand to all of us. Hong Kong's Chief Executive John Lee will shortly address us by video. He is, of course, tied up in Bangkok and the APEC meetings and couldn't be at this gathering. But we're most grateful for his support. I'm sure the CE will emphasize that Hong Kong is back on the world stage. And indeed we are. I think today is a testimony to that. And for the AGD, there is a silver lining. Having gone online during the pandemic times, we now reach larger audiences across multiple time zones as a hybrid event. It's been 10 years since we convened the first AGD under the auspices of the Fung Global Institute. Since 2015, that think tank's mission to generate and disseminate research and ideas on global issues from Asian perspectives has been faithfully carried forward by the Asia Global Institute at the University of Hong Kong. And for this, Vice-Chancellor, I thank you, and also Hei Wei. We really support you on your mission now to continue this work. If a week is a long time in politics, then a decade is an eternity for a global economy that is changing faster than any of us could have ever imagined. AGD, our flagship event, is a unique platform for monitoring and discussing these changes from an Asian angle. This year's theme, the recovery and, well, it was somewhere there. This year's theme, Recovery and Reformation, Asia in a Changing Global Economy, is timely because as the world's economic center of gravity continues to shift towards Asia, towards the East, Asia is surely one of the brightest spots for global business. Back in 2012, it was unthinkable that 2022 would see a war in Eastern Europe, a chip war over advanced semiconductors, an interest rate war against inflation in major Western economies, and a warning from the UN Secretary General that humanity could yet lose the global climate fight. And that is actually sobering stuff. But as a cautious optimist, I believe the year is ending on a more encouraging note. The presidents of the US and China are meeting again face to face, and there is momentum for their dialogue to continue. The word harmony rang out loud at this G20 in Bali earlier in the week. And please, don't forget that at the beginning of this year, we really saw the coming together of the world's largest free trade agreement, the RCEP. And really, it came into being right here in Asia. Let's really not forget that, in that momentum. So, all is far from lost. In an interconnected world, we have gained from new knowledge about pandemics, from the accelerated spread of digital commerce in developing economies, especially to the SMEs, from the ongoing digital empowerment of caring consumers who insist on responsible ESG in everything that we do. I would even throw out for discussion that despite all the talk of decoupling, globalization has become more important, not less, as governments around the world wrestle with inflation, which is really the new phenomenon that we all must deal with. This is because some 70% of the world trade falls outside the category of essential products that are being increasingly reshored or friendshored, which is the latest word, but at a very high cost, to the world economy and to these economies. Hardwired efficiencies within global supply chains are helping the fight against inflation by trying to keep costs down for basic products that we use every day. Later, we shall hear panelists discuss whether, in fact, the time has come to debunk various ideas about deglobalization. And it's a high time that we examine critically. I don't want the world keep saying it's deglobalizing, it's deglobalizing. And where is the proof? And what is the trend? We shall also be privileged to hear from Nobel Economics laureate, my good friend, and AGI Advisory Board Chairman Mike Spence, on the direction the global economy is heading. This is always the star of the show, and we look forward to Mike's pronouncements about the future of the global economy. And then, of course, AGI Distinguished Fellow Andrew Xiang, who, by the way, was the founding director of the Fung Global Institute back many years ago, Andrew. And he will deliver a keynote on Asia's pathways to green growth. And then expert panelists will discuss the future of finance and the challenge of income inequality, which, frankly, tops my own personal list of global concerns. As you can see, it is a full, rich, and relevant agenda. And although much has changed since the first AGD, our fervent wish to leave a better world for future generations has not. Through your presence today, in person and online, you are helping us to hold steady on that course. Thank you very much.